Are you emotionally avoidant? Now, that's a rhetorical question because the answer is probably yes. And the reason why is because we generally like to move towards pleasure and away from pain. So we try as best as we can to completely avoid pain. If you're the type of person that is afraid of needles and you don't like getting your vaccinations, well, your first instinct is not going to be going to the doctors to get your vaccination. You're going to do anything possible to avoid that. If you have a terrible fear of driving on the highway, you're going to do everything possible to avoid driving on the highway, which means you're going to have your local stores and you're going to have, places that you visit within close proximity of your home. And if you have to go onto the highway, you're probably going to Uber it or ask a friend to drive you. You're going to avoid that. So it makes sense. A big part of our mind wants to avoid because it's afraid that it's going to experience some form of trauma, some form of pain. But the thing is, avoidance actually doesn't help us. It's short-term relief. It's not a long-term gain. What ends up happening is the more in which we avoid, the more in which our fear builds. So if we continually avoid going on the highway and driving on the highway, then our fear about driving on the highway is going to increase, whether we are aware of it or not. The more in which we challenge ourselves to drive on the highway, the less that we are going to want to avoid, the more evidence we're going to build that we're capable of doing this. And now we're going to feel a little bit more comfortable, the more in which we drive on the highway. So avoidance is a short-term gain. If you want that long-term success, then you need to challenge yourself not to avoid. Understanding the components that drive the avoidance, what is contributing to the avoidance. So maybe you're fearful of driving on the highway because you got into a car accident, or maybe you're fearful of driving on the highway because your mother got into a car accident and now she has influenced you directly or indirectly to be afraid of the highway, to be afraid of driving on the highway. So challenge yourself little by little, build that mental strength. So then this way, avoidance doesn't have to be something that stops you. And instead, you can go the distance and build that strength so then you can take on more challenges. The online course, the Ultimate Mental Health Toolbox, Mastering Skills that Therapists Use, will help you to develop the skills that you need in order to challenge your mind.